What I want to talk about tonight is the key ritual objects that we use and how to handle them and the meaning of these ritual objects. So, kind of step by step, in terms of realistically, what do you start with? Then I would say, in terms of like accessorizing, accoutrements, right? First thing you start with, if you're going to start, right, is having what we call a mala. Mala is a Sanskrit word. It means garland. Hindus call it japa mala, a garland for recitation, for repetition, japa, japa mala. In Buddhist and Buddhist English, we call this a mala. Yeah? Interestingly, the English word rosary, of course, it's related to Mary being the rose, but it's interesting. It's called a rosary. You can think of it as a garland, right? A garland of roses. So anyway, you would begin with, if you're going to accessorize, you begin with this that we called a mala. A standard size mala has 108 plus 3 beads. 108 plus 3 beads. This is in the Tibetan tradition. Other Buddhist traditions that use mala would have at least 108. They may or may not add the 3 beads. And when the 3 beads are added, they are added as dividers, so that the 108 is divided into 4 quadrants, in which there are 27 beads each. The 108 beads, the symbolic meaning, the most common symbolic meaning for the 108 beads is that there are 108 there are 108 harmful states of mind, kleshas, confusions, afflictive emotions. So the 108. Right? So what you do with it is you count, count in that sense. Like for every mantra you repeat, you pull 1 bead towards you. Now, that's also a style of using. In the Tibetan tradition, you pull the bead towards you rather than pushing out. And the meaning here is, pulling towards you is, you are at the level where you are building up, you are cultivating. So then the pulling in of the bead is symbolic of receiving the blessings, to use religious language. But that's just one language to describe what's going on. To use a less religious language, we'll say we are building up the capacity. So each mantra will have a particular quality, whether it's wisdom being emphasized or compassion being emphasized or generosity being emphasized or activity, active action, doing is emphasized. And so different mantras have different qualities. So when we say the mantra and we pull the beads, we pull in, it's symbolizing the building up of those quality. Then, related to the 108 afflictive emotions and kleshas, it means you overcome. You pass beyond. So as you pull in or as you develop that quality of compassion, you overcome 1 afflictive emotion, and 2, and 3, and 4, and so 108. Yeah. Furthermore, in the Tibetan tradition, the common practice is to use your left hand to count, to use the mala, rather than right hand. Why again? Left has to do with receiving and accumulating. Right has to do with giving. So culturally, in Tibetan culture, it's considered rude to give people things with your left hand. You give with your right hand. And then when you receive something, and if you're receiving something from someone who is like very important, for whatever reason, very important to you, right? Culturally, Tibetans would do this. Like, I don't deserve. Using the left hand, and maybe right hand supporting left hand to receive. So, using left hand. Now, the Buddha of Compassion, Avalokiteshvara, holds a mala in his hands, right hand, because he's already a Buddha. So he doesn't need to build up anymore. He has become unlimited. And also we say, although I don't know if anyone has seen him doing it, he pushes the mala out. Yeah. Instead of pulling it. But we, at where we are, we pull it. So these 108 beads represent the 108 afflictive emotions to overcome, but they also represent the 108 peaceful and wrathful deities. Deities here are referring to Buddhas, but Buddhas in the Vajrayana context. Buddha in the general context always appear in these forms. The one up there seated, the one there standing. That's the common way of representing Buddha. With the historical Buddha as a template. And then Greco-Roman Indian influences, into the flowing robes and all of that, art history. Then a Thai-style Buddha you have here, and then a Chinese-style Buddha. And so that's the common representation of Buddhas. But as Buddhism developed, as the Vajrayana tradition developed, then you have different ways of depicting the awakened state, which then lead to other representations, such as the taras that are on this wall. Now female in form, dressed like a princess or as a queen with all the jewels and all the ornaments. We say that those are also representations of Buddhists. Of course, not all Buddhists will accept that, to be fair, to be clear, but those who accept the Vajrayana teachings will say, no, those are also symbols, expressions of the Buddha state. And some of it can be very fierce looking, ferocious looking. But as a style at Urban Dharma, we don't often display those ferocious looking types. But there are also those. So we call them the peaceful and wrathful Buddhas. So there is one. So sometimes when they say 100 peaceful and wrathful deities, when you actually start counting, it's more than 100. So 108 is also called 100. So the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities, we say this mala is the presence of the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities. So that when you have this with you, then that means the whole range of expression of the awakened state, whether in a peaceful way or in a ferocious way, it's all in the palm of your hands. Whereby this main bead here, which is not counted as one of the 108, this is called the principal bead or the guru bead. So then this becomes the lord of the mandala, meaning the central Buddha in this 100 peaceful and wrathful mandala like palace or gathering of the peaceful and wrathful deities. So this is considered as like a special object, like if you have a shrine of the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities represented. So that's why this, we don't trivialize it. So you keep it kind of private. There's even a sense of, you don't let other people touch it. In the sense that, this is something private. But don't need to get paranoid about, don't touch. Well, if that's the case, don't show. Yeah, don't display it around and then tell people, no, you can't touch, you can't touch, you can't touch. Then you're just making a fuss. Yeah? Then, counting, you can put the mala most commonly resting on your forefinger. Then with your thumb, you pull. With your thumb, you pull. And when you pull in, sometimes they emphasize there's even like this kind of movement of turning. Turning counterclockwise and pull, turning counterclockwise and pull, turning and pull, turning and pull, turning and pull, turning and pull. Yeah? And it's on this finger. Then they say different mantras, different practices for different reasons, for different functions. You may put on what's this? Middle finger? Or even ring finger? Or pinky? Depending on what kind of mantra you're engaging in. But basically, it's forefinger. Yeah? Basically, it's the forefinger. Yeah, it's the forefinger. So that's how we use this mala. If Charlie lingers too long, you can tell him tomorrow is a good time to join us. Yeah? So this is how malas. And then there are malas from different materials. Wood, seeds, stones, different reasons. Again, different mantras, different practices, different material. You may even hear some people say that for each mantra they do, they keep a separate mala. Yeah, I don't know necessary or not, but just FYI, some people say that. So that's mala. So that would be the first thing if you were to accessorize this. And you, again, as I said, you keep it with you, you keep it private, you don't put it on the floor, you don't, throw it around. You just kind of keep. Yeah? So that's mala.